Alright, so on this very special episode of Seriousless, we are talking about the first episode of the second season of Mandalorian. My name is Andrew Stoke, and I am one part of the Seriousless podcast, and this is...
Adam Stoke.
That's my brother. And since Jay doesn't yet want to watch Mandalorian, he wants to wait until the series is over. I definitely wanted to get this out here. I love Star Wars, so yeah, let's dig right in. So I love this episode. I guess some people, I've talked to a few people, and it's not exactly universally acclaimed, but I don't know. I was fanboying out like crazy. Definitely can't jump into this without bringing up Boba Fett, his armor, and then the man himself.
Right.
So, yeah. What did you think of it?
If we think about like the first episodes of like season 1, season 2, did you like this episode of season 2 better than the first episode of season 1? Like the reveal at the end. So we get a reveal at the end of each episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first one
was Baby Yoda,
yeah,
or the child.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's also because everything's established. I love these characters more, so I think them going throughout stuff and just kind of Mando being Mando and the child still being cute really still hit like home with me. So I think my love of the series already built my love even for this episode. So then on top of it, you're gonna add in even more Star Wars nerdiness with not only that stuff with like Boba Fett and everything, but his speeder is a
pod
racer.
Yeah.
And I was just
and
like,
I've heard that it's actually Anakin's pod racer.
well, it looks like
it's, it's the one side of his pod racer.
Yeah, and what,
so that's
doesn't he
pretty
lose
cool.
one of those engines too? So I think,
does he?
Maybe it could be his.
Yeah, does he slide into the end or something? I don't remember.
Forget.
I don't.
It's been a while, but
Yeah, I think it was just dismantled. Maybe
kind of proclaimed my love still for that movie, even though I know a lot of people hate
Hated
the
Phantom
prequels.
Menace?
But I was a child at the time, and it still has that like gives me that warm feeling.
Right.
And even though you hate people like Jar Jar, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon just have like an amazing relationship,
Yeah.
and I think it turns out really well.
I would have to say that when I left episode 1, I was like, "What the heck? This is crazy." There's another of Yoda's race. We don't know what that race is, but there's another one. That was cool. That was amazing. Now in this one, we think Boba Fett's dead.
Yeah.
Or at least other than Legends,
we have armor.
we think he's
stuff.
dead. Yeah. But I left episode 1 being more like, whoa, this is crazy. Now this is cool. This is really neat. But when it comes to Yoda, to me, that's awesome. You know,
like
and the fact that we've only ever seen like one of his race before or two of his race.
That was definitely a bigger shocker. And I do love episode 1, like him and like IG something or whatever,
88
or IG-11, I think is his name. And just their interaction with each other, because we're already getting tones of him hating droids and everything. So I guess maybe I do kind of like that first episode a little bit more, but I don't know. I think they leaned in real hard into the Western aspect of this, and just knocked it out of the park with the whole, like, there's this sheriff that needs help from this, like, wandering, like, I don't know. He's not really a do-gooder, but he's also not an outlaw, so I don't know what you would call Mando.
Yeah.
But just, like, a Texas Ranger or something, like, out there in the wild. And then using, like, the Sand People more as, like, Native Americans and stuff. Just even, like, how they sit down together by the fireplace, or the fire, and share whatever that thing is. And, but
they definitely expanded on that feeling of a Western. Yeah. A spaghetti Western or something like that. And there's even, like, certain shots in the episode, like, where the sheriff is standing in the doorway.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, like, that really hits home that feeling of a Western. And then, like, the fireside type of scene there where he's just like, even before he's doing that thing with the sand people with the dogs or whatever they are, before that there was just a quick cut scene where he's sitting at the fire, then again, and he's just like hanging out with them, which is kind of neat.
Just already like establishing that he has a good relationship with these people that in most other Star Wars just see them as like nuisances, or like they're just these raiders that always just kill people. Like they can't be good. Like that's just the way we've always thought. So I think it's kind of a cool thing to be like, this race isn't evil.
Right. Even in the first season, he knew the Jawas language, basically, which was kind of weird. Like, is this a Mandalorian training where he's getting all these different like languages and cultural understanding, or is this just him?
Yeah.
And he's this better Mandalorian that's really well versed and well learned.
And I think they are kind of selling it as this might be the way Mandalorians are. He's just kind of like, this is our peak of like our peak at a peak Mandalorian, like someone that actually like follows the code, is like what could be their shining example of what a Mandalorian is. Like, yeah, it seems like from even the first series he's had like a shady past, but he's kind of turned that around quite a bit, and the man has a heart and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool to me.
Well, there's the part in this episode where the sheriff, Cad Bane, takes off his helmet, and you can just think that the Mando's like, what the? Like he's thinking this guy's a Mandalorian, and then he takes his helmet off, and he's like, this is definitely not, a Mandalorian.
Well, and even like just period, I love that scene because it's kind of like real dark. So it's like, I think that's Boba Fett's armor, and you're just like, I just don't know yet. And then when he takes the helmet off and sits it down, and you see Timothy Oliphant, and he's sitting there, and he's just like, I've never seen a real Mando before. And you're just like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. So
it's cool though. You can even tell, like, I think when you're watching it and he's in that the sheriff, Cad Bane, is in the doorway, you can already kind of tell it's not Boba Fett just by the way he's standing.
Yeah,
he's standing like a cowboy or like a sheriff, and he's wearing the suit different. Like it does,
it's like he's real lanky in it or something. Yeah. Like,
but it's
just
neat
definitely
to see
doesn't
that.
fit him right. And
if you're wondering, we actually have the TV above here, and we're watching the episode as we're looking. So you ever see us go, no, we're looking at it.
But yeah, we are like halfway through the episode, so I do actually even want to like circle back to kind of even the very beginning, because oh man, I just love Star Wars. Like the fact that like this is still just a show, and just some random like thug is actually like fully with that like Jim Henson like puppet head, and then we even finally see what the Gamorreans or what are the guys that are usually like guards, actually seeing them combat now, like because usually like we just saw them at Jabba's palace and then just get eaten by the Rancor, so it's like
but they do a good job of showing they're still dumb whenever they just jump out of the ring and land on the ground, and Mando's just like, what?
But I like the story of the sheriff and everything, and like how he got the armor, and it seems plausible and like believable, and it's a really cool part of even like him taking back the town and using even like the rockets and stuff. Like we just gotta like believe while on his way back that he figured out how this suit works.
Especially since we've never seen Boba Fett use that as a rocket, flip down, like, and somehow he figured it out and he's using it, so it's kind of neat.
It's just in too many close quarters, and he was gonna blow up the own ship, I guess, when we saw Boba Fett. So I guess that's the
wasn't a great idea to use it.
But the Crate Dragon, I think like once again, they do spend almost like a movie budget on this show, so it's going to look amazing. You can't like down to the prosthetics, the props, and then even the CGI is incredible in this show. And like it's still a TV show, but they are spending like I think billions on every episode or something. So it's definitely, you can't treat it in the same thing as like even Netflix shows, you're like, this is a different league of type of show.
But it makes sense because it seems like this show, I can't even really think of another show that's pretty much propping up Disney Plus right now.
Oh yeah.
Like they need to spend the money on this if they want to get the return of people coming back and continuing to subscribe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess soon, what is it? The one with Scarlet Witch. WandaVision will come out. Those kinds of things will also be those kinds of flagship
Falcon
series.
and Winter Soldier and stuff like that. And we also on the podcast talked about Moon Knight and Oscar Isaac being cast, I guess, or maybe being cast as that. So that's definitely a cool thing that's going to be happening for Disney Plus. And just like that show, this show might actually get a full feature film.
What? Mando?
Yep.
I haven't heard that.
They talked to the director. I can't remember his name. Guy that directed like Iron Man and stuff. But yeah, they talked to him and said that it's definitely not out of the picture of doing that. And it seems like that's a thing that Disney wants to do quite a bit, is find a way to make these as like entries, because they even said, even with the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, like
Jon Favreau.
Yes, these things will matter. Like the MCU stuff that you watch on Disney Plus will matter to the movies. So even that is like cool. They're making it be something real, not like Shield or whatever, where they didn't have a coherent story to it, but and like matter to the story, or just work around the MCU. It actually is a part of it. So
there was only a few times where I thought the CG didn't work, and we're watching it right now with the dog, and I thought whenever he was patting the dog on the side when it comes up to him, I thought it doesn't look that great. And then also in the beginning, like right in the beginning of the show, when Baby Yoda or the child's little ship thingy is going through the scene, it didn't look really that great to me. But there's obviously a lot going on. So, I mean, overall, it looks amazing. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, now we're into the scene we were talking about a little bit earlier with the Sand People. And I kind of wonder if somebody like way nerdier than I am has already figured out how to decipher the like sign language thing that
I wonder if it does have a real
because it kind of is like maybe self-explanatory with how some of them work, but it's kind of a cool thing that like goes along with everything that he's doing.
I think it's cool that there's some vocal with it too. Like there's like this like I don't even know how to do it, but that's like some kind of grunt with the hand movements that they're doing. Yeah.
Do you think Sand People were born with those mask things, or is that just
I wonder why they have to wear them. Like, are they from this planet? You would think if they're from the planet, they wouldn't need something like to sustain themselves. Yeah.
But I guess we're from this planet, and we need protection to go out in the sand to live.
Yeah, but we don't need like a breathing apparatus. We can still breathe.
Yeah. But maybe unique. Maybe we'll figure out that we do need it to really live in the sand.
Sure, maybe. I've never done it.
Yep.
I've gone to the beach, but I've never lived in desert.
But just especially even like for this show, I feel like there's certain things that I do have to be like, it's still a TV show, and some things aren't going to be as great. But when you get to that fight scene at the end, and they're both flying around in their jetpacks, pretty epic.
I mean, that's better than some movies.
Yeah, like I did not see that coming at all. Mm-hmm. I was like, even with the show, usually everything's just quick little like shots here or there, and like some fighting. And then when you have them full CG, like,
well, that's what I was wondering. Is it full CG or is it them on wires? Because it looks so good that I was like, you can't tell a difference. Yeah, it sometimes
has to be a little mix.
Yeah, you would think, but yeah, I really thought that was. They might have spent a major part of their budget on that part of the show, because they have the big crate dragon. Mm-hmm. Then they have like all the flying and stuff like that.
Just
did you know like where the crate dragon came in first? Do you know where that is?
I know there's a lesser crate dragon, and this is supposed to be like a great crate dragon or something like that. So I know there's one in something.
Whenever C-3PO and R2-D2 land in the desert, there's that huge skeleton in the background. Yeah. That's supposedly a crate dragon.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty cool. Like it's a way that they took something from back then and brought it into to now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that there's also some mythology with that pearl that they find.
Oh yeah.
So that I guess it somehow can form a kyber crystal, and I think in Legends, Boba Fett actually makes a lightsaber from a Krayt Dragon pearl. So
maybe we are kind of
that would
linking
that would be
that,
awesome. That would be super cool.
And definitely with the Darksaber in in close range to this series now, which a lot of people didn't see coming, is pretty cool. And I hope it ends up in Mando's hands. I think
That would
that'd
be cool.
Awesome. And especially for him to be like almost like a true leader. Like if he defeats that Empire guy. He was in like one episode. Don't expect me to already remember his name.
But I wonder, like, so as it goes to a Mandalorian, he's not really a Mandalorian, I don't think, right? Like he was just taken in by this group of Mandalorians.
I don't know, because they trained him and he's like past everything. Like I would think if
it's like adopted him, like
because
like before it was like
failed like being whatever they call like the children, because he like when the armor is with him, he's like, this will go off fledglings or something like that. I forget what it is, but like he's like, oh, I was one of those, and she's like, I know, like, and I think that's just like, yes, everyone understands that he's not a original like born to like the race of Mandor, but he's adopted the creed that he's just as much Mandalorian as even people.
Well, I kind of wonder if he's gonna be like the well-rounded Mandalorian. Like he's gonna maybe meet Boba Fett. He's maybe gonna meet Sabine. That would be something that people have been throwing around about future episodes. He's gonna maybe meet the sister of the ruler of Mandalore. I forget what her name is. But like, so then is he gonna get influenced by all of them and become like this actual Mandalorian, like well-rounded, and bring Mandalore back? And then that would come into the point that he gets the black saber and becomes the ruler. That would be cool.
Well, and like, I think a lot of people too, or like some of the people I was talking to about this episode, was that they were disappointed that like, I love Jedi, like tons of lightsabers and stuff, like definitely my favorite thing in Star Wars. But this is a series focused around Mandalorians, so that his first job coming back when he's supposed to be just hunting down basically Jedi to get the child back to it, I guess being that he was looking for Mandalorians was kind of disappointing for some people. But to me, it's like, that's who he is. Like, that's what this series is about. And I think it's going to be kind of a cool journey to see him seek out more Mandalorians before he seeks out Jedi.
I think the cool thing about this show, and even the Han Solo movie, which I didn't even go see because I thought it was going to turn out bad, right? But I thought that I only liked Star Wars because of wizards and lightsabers, like, right? I thought that was the only reason I liked it. But then this show and like Han Solo, after I watched it, made me realize there's more to Star Wars, and I can actually enjoy, these movies without those things. I would still love to have them. Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, we still have the child who does use the Force, so there's still that element there.
It doesn't do much in this episode, but
like, I'm pretty because I was saying about, did I like the first episode better or this 9th episode? Now if the reveal at the end would have been Ahsoka, I probably would have been more excited, like, because she's the Jedi and I like Jedi, But that doesn't take away from what we got, and I think it's still cool because we thought he was dead and he's not.
And that also because we were kind of talking before this, and I don't know if I brought it up, but one of the cool things about seeing Boba Fett now, seeing his armor, is that his armor is actually made of Beskar. In the Legends, it was basically that, like, Boba Fett and Jango Fett, their armor wasn't really Mandalorian armor. It was, like, a copy of it because they weren't real, like, Mandalorians. But it seems like somehow Boba Fett did get his hands on Beskar, probably because he worked with the Empire. But it leads more relevance to that, like, he could have been an amazing bounty hunter because he also couldn't really be hurt. Like, that's a big deal, well, especially more and more with
the other thing
Mando.
That this show, and I think Legends kind of makes it seem, is that the only people who can shape Beskar the way that they do for their suits is a Mandalorian, like blacksmith or whatever you call them. So then somewhere along the line, Boba Fett would have had to have gotten in touch with a Mandalorian, or he himself learned how to do this. I mean, there's a lot of story there. I think they could go into if we got more interested in what Boba
unless
Fett.
there's kind of like traitorous old Mandalorian like armors or something, because for some other reason people all over the galaxy want to steal Beskar, so you'd think somebody else knows how to forge this stuff, because I guess, why does everyone want this so bad if all you get is like a brick and that's it?
Yeah. Well, I guess also after the fall of Mandalore, he could have just gotten his hands on some armor, or just armor. He just could have just found some armor
and then painted it to whatever himself.
Right, exactly.
Because it's not really like Mandalorian stuff that's on him; it's more bounty hunter stuff that's all over his armor. So it's more he could have procured it off of a dead body and then just made it his own.
Yeah, which, being that it's Boba Fett, is probably more likely.
But yeah, since we're even on this episode encroaching in on the end of it, what did you think about the final battle and like the whole even like very almost Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven of pulling the townspeople in and getting them to fight with you kind of thing?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome. I thought it was amazing that just that bringing like these two groups, like it seemed like the Native Americans and the cowboys are, together and fighting this one enemy, which is very much, Seven Samurai or something. So I thought it was cool, and I liked how like you weren't like, okay, now we got these two groups together, we made a plan, it's gonna work out now. No, it doesn't work out, which leads us to a better storyline because we're like, okay, how are they gonna solve this problem? And I thought it just turned out really cool.
Yeah, and like especially with like, I don't think they hit you over the head with a lot of stuff in this show. Like they're very subtle and everything too. Like clearly, I think from watching it, you get these themes, but they don't have to be like really heavy-handed with it or like really force stuff on you. It's just like you're gonna like this. The writing's great, the directing's great, and like this is what was missing in the sequel trilogies is care
and there was so much in this that leads us back to like The Empire Strikes Back and things like that, and it's not heavy-handed. It's not like, oh, we're just gonna redo the same show but with different characters. No, they're like, we're just gonna make nods to those things and help you feel the nostalgia without like slapping you in the face, And it works out really well. And we were watching a part where like the banthas come in, they're like riding on banthas. Have you ever noticed they move really slow?
Yeah,
it's like, what's the point of even having them? Like you could walk yourself, and some of the guys were even pulling them along. So it's like, what? I mean, I guess if they're carrying your goods, that's important. But they're riding.
They have to mix them with like almost like their bison / elephants because it's kind of like a mix of it. Yeah, I can't remember what I was just about to bring up. Oh, I think it's kind of crazy because I also watched this with our parents, and I think it's kind of crazy that you could watch this episode and not know all of the references. Like the stuff with Boba Fett, both things that we get to see with Boba Fett, and then like the thing with the pod racer. This is pod racing. Now this is pod racing. But like, and just enjoy this episode because I think really you can.
But Mom and Dad would have known those things. They knew they didn't know who Boba Fett was.
Well, they knew who Boba Fett is when I explained it to them, but they didn't recognize it right off the top of their heads. Like even Dad, that I think watches more Star Wars, like when I told him it was Boba Fett, he didn't get it really, and he was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, the guy that like got Han Solo, that put him in carbonite.
Then he accidentally knocked into the Snarlack pit.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that they talk about in this episode is that the Krayt Dragon eats Snarlacks, I guess? Sarlacc, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so is that the reason why Boba Fett was let go?
Well,
like,
I think it's also like you're not really supposed to be able to escape a Sarlacc once you're in it. But I think also part of this is we kind of see maybe a way that the Beskar saved him, and like that's what we were kind of waiting on is like just period, does he actually have real Beskar armor? Because that could have saved his life, because Mando ends up in the Krayt Dragon, which is like this stomach acid that can burn people alive, but he clearly easily survives and just gets out with nothing scathed because of his Beskar armor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Beskar basically just saved Boba Fett. Now, he might have been real beat up, and maybe that's how his armor...
At the end, he looks burnt and stuff. So.
And maybe that's how his armor got stolen, because he could have also been just laid out in the waste, and he didn't really have anything to trade, so the Jawas just stole it off of him. And
they could have written him off as dead and been like, well, we'll take the armor. Because obviously, the Jawas helped the guy that wasn't quite dead yet, so they weren't that heartless. But I wonder if, like, did the Krayt Dragon bite into, like, the Snarlack, and then he got out. He was like able to get out, but before he got eaten.
That was something the one time he used his rocket. We just didn't get to see
it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because that rocket's pretty devastating. I was not expecting when he shoots it at the Krayt Dragon. It hits it pretty hard, and I wasn't expecting that just out of like a rocket that's on a backpack, because it felt like it did more damage than all the explosives they planted underground.
Well, my son was watching this part, and he was watching the part with when he shoots it. He's like, "Well, that's all he's got."
Yeah.
He's like, he's done. And I'm like, "Wait, where does he get the reload for that?" I mean, that seems like a pretty specific shell you got to get.
That's a plan ahead, and you only get one.
You only get one
in a battle.
It's hard to keep talking when we're watching it up here
because we keep want to look at it and be like, "Oh, what's next?"
I don't know what the sand people are like holding onto the ropes. I don't know what they're thinking. Like,
expecting.
You think they're gonna be able to like grab that and pull it back, and then they get eaten?
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I just love even like this. Like, you can't see it, but during this part when they're even like trying to stop it from going back in the cave, that like even already these people have decided not to be like cowboys versus Indians. They're already banding together, and that's a really cool thing. Of just like. And they didn't have to hammer you over the head with it. It's just people, when they have a thing to like strive for or work towards, they'll work together. And it's a really cool thing that's just like super subtle, but in the writing, these people aren't like turning on each other, because like we've seen even movies like that where instead of being like a redeemable, cool thing, instead they're just like, oh, we're going to go against each other in this really dire strait, but it's
take this chance to see them get killed or something.
So they're all just working together, and I think that's really cool. But once again, this end fight scene is awesome, especially once the Mandos really get into it. They do take their sweet time though.
Part of it they're just like standing back there. I'm like, are they gonna do something? They have the biggest weapons. What's going on?
And then
the acid breath is just.
I was like, I think it's also very Disney to like not really show you what's happening.
I'm like, are they just getting wet? Did they just fall down?
Very obscure.
No, I think we're supposed to expect that they've been dissolved completely.
And then I do love this part too. That like instead of it just being like a quiet moment, I think you could have it like in a cowboy movie or an action movie where they're just like just thinking and waiting. I like that they both turn to each other and like, that thing's not dead, and he's like, no, it's not. And it's just kind of like a cool like, they get it, like they're not hiding what we already feel like. They're,
well, I think in some ways it's like with anime, even like with Dragon Ball Z, you're like, oh yeah, he's dead, we beat him. You know, in this they're like, no, I don't think it's dead. We're not joking, we're not kidding anybody. He's not dead.
Man, it is watching this without sound. You really don't get the feeling sometimes of Mando because he doesn't have facial expressions. So I guess it's a good thing that Pedro Pascal is a good actor and his voice is good, because he really sells that on the other end.
I don't remember if Boba Fett's armor was that, like, because it looks eaten away now. Right, like paint.
It definitely is that a little more beat up.
Like it wasn't like that before.
Even his helmet, you can.
Oh yeah, you have it. Because if it is more eaten away, it leads you to believe that, okay, that was maybe the acid or whatever.
Like, it's beat up, but it's not as beat up as what it is in
it's really
the Mandalorian. It's cool that it still has that dent in his head that's always been there. But yeah, even a lot of the other markings and stuff on the helmet are basically missing. I think even in there, like some of those like hatches and stuff on the side. So, but, and then I don't know what this thing's for, but it is on the back of both Mandalorians' helmets.
Which one? What part?
Yeah, the very back part, like if
Oh,
I'm
that
facing
thing,
it
yeah.
towards the screen there.
Just like a vent, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
But yeah,
I did think this episode overall didn't have a lot of the child in it. Like, he's
No.
in it, but he didn't have any purpose, really.
yeah, he's
to
just
be there.
like observing the whole entire time. He like definitely takes a back seat in this episode, but I do like for some reason like right at the beginning when he sits down, he's like, and the gangster guy's like, "This is no place for a child" or whatever, and he's like, "Where I go, he goes," and that really gave me that like wolf and cub kind of thing. And so even though he doesn't make that much of an appearance in this, that immediately I was like, that's where they get the whole like wolf and cub kind of like relationship of this like dirty old like samurai taking care of this child and stuff. So it's just like, because he also gets into really messed up situations, so it's kind of easily seen once again of if you know that stuff, then you see it in Mandalorian, but if you don't, then it's also just there for people I guess that care.
I can see how later on it's going to cause some tension for the story to have the baby there all the time, just like in Wolf and Cub, where it's like, oh, I've got to protect this thing while still fighting, and you know, it's going to be able to cause that tension in the storyline, which is going to be fun.
Well, I guess maybe eventually we'll see if his little eggshell thing is more impervious, because it seems like he can just close it up and he's fine. But because in Wolf and Cub, it's basically just him pushing around like a wheelbarrow with like hay and a baby in it. So it's a little different from a thing he doesn't really have to move around himself. It just kind of follows him. So, but we'll see if that thing holds up if someone's actually looking to nab up the child. But yeah, I think this kind of does it for me. I don't know if you have anything more to say, but
I don't think so. I thought it was how does he shock the crate dragon with while he's in it and not get shocked?
I'm thinking the Beskar still stops him from getting shocked.
That Beskar is some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Because I think he does get shocked in the first series, but I think someone like puts it underneath his helmet or something.
I don't remember.
And but yeah, this whole plot I think is really cool. Like, I can understand if some people were disappointed, but it's a nice, like, even if this is just like a one-off of being like a super cool little western kind of thing within like the stop of big story beats. But I don't know, I just really dig this style and everything that they put here. I didn't get to see who directed this one, because they do, like, at least with the first season, they got different directors
People
basically
for
per episode. So I guess we'll probably see that here coming up on the end.
The one thing I thought was that because they went so into detail with Cad Vane's backstory, like I'm saying, like, they're not going to just waste that time. They're probably going to he's going to be in more episodes.
Oh, and why are they saving
some
piece
meat?
Of the thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless the child just wants it. Like,
well, that's like I was thinking, you know, those little, I don't even know what they were, rabbit lizard things that were hopping around in the beginning of this episode.
Womp rat.
Was that what that
That's
is?
what they're like.
Is that what it is?
Everyone brings up womp rats and shooting womp rats.
Well, I was pretty sure that he was going to probably eat, like the child was going to eat one, or you know, Baby Yoda was going to just snack on it.
There's the pearl.
I thought that would have been funny.
Yeah, and then once again, here coming towards the end is we get to see Boba Fett, and he's standing there. Definitely got that clone face, so it's kind of unmistakable. And I don't know. They make him look cool when he's just in like rags, basically, and he's got these two rifles over his shoulder. Like,
so I didn't notice, but somebody had said that you can hear as he's walking away. You hear the what are those? The spurs go cling, 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 or something like that. And I'm not sure. I mean, we have it on mute, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've heard, like, somebody said that, and I think in season 1, there's just a little spot where you hear somebody with those
Oh,
spurs. Clink,
yeah.
clink, clink, clink.
You know what it is? It's the episode where they go after the assassin, and then now
If
that you're
that's the
saying
case,
that,
then that would be-
reminds me he must be the one that lets her go, because he's the one that finds her then, because that kid instead goes leaves her behind and goes after Mando. So
It must
it's
have been
Boba Fett that
yeah.
gets the
Yeah.
So really, he might not have even saved her. He's still a bounty hunter. He might have just turned her
Yeah.
in for the bounty. But yeah, that did give him a shot of, here's maybe my chance to steal Mandalorian armor again, because I kind of have felt that yeah, it's really cool that he's got Beskar and stuff, but the Mando is basically invulnerable at this point,
Right.
and so unless he goes up to a Jedi or the Darksaber, nothing can cut through or get through his Beskar.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's still feeling it.
yeah,
It's
but
like
I mean,
having a bulletproof vest and you get hit by something.
he
It's gonna hurt.
if somehow he loses this armor, has to build it back up, get new Mandalorian armor or something, I think that would be maybe an extra cool thing that he's gonna have to fight through.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would kind of feel like maybe a new video game where you have to regain back all your stuff.
That's annoying sometimes.
But
I'd also wonder if Boba Fett's gonna go after Mando to try and get his armor back.
yeah,
Or why didn't Boba Fett get his armor from Cad Bane this whole time?
yeah,
It kind of makes me wonder if does Boba Fett know who he is still? Did he lose his memory?
Yeah, I
Is
don't
there
know.
something more to why wouldn't he just go and take it from this guy?
yeah. Or why wasn't he just striking out? Period. There is plenty of use for a bounty hunter,
Right,
And yeah.
But obviously, if he was involved in the first season, if that's what we think, he's got a purpose. He's doing he's doing something for some reason.
Or unless people do still cement him as a part of the Empire, then maybe he's trying to stay away from that too.
Exactly.
Now that he knows that the people he took down, like Han Solo, are now the heroes of the whole
The
galaxy.
universe, yeah.
You don't want to exactly mess with those people.
No, you're I'll just take a backseat for a
Yeah.
while.
But yeah, I
Alright.
guess this is the second time I said I think I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for this. Thank you guys. Thank you, Adam,
Yeah,
for
thanks for
doing this
having
with me. Maybe we can do this for more episodes, because
Yeah.
Jay won't be around for it.
He's gonna wait until the
Yeah.
whole season's over.
But yeah, this has been awesome. I hope you guys like this. I want to do this with more, especially Mandalorian, but maybe even more series. So especially the MCU stuff with Disney Plus maybe in the
Yeah,
future.
that'd be cool.
But yep, thanks guys. See ya.